exclusive on Sky Box Office from the Telewest Arena here in the city of Newcastle upon Tyne, where Frank Warren proudly presents The War of the Worlds. Tonight, sponsored by Alpha Club International and All Sports. We begin our program this evening, ladies and gentlemen, with a contest of 12 3-minute rounds to decide the Featherweight Championship of Great Britain. Between and introducing the boxers, and firstly fighting out of the red corner, he comes from Liverpool and he wears gold trunks. He weighed in at 8 stone, 13 pound. His professional record is of 14 contests, 11 wins, 6 wins by way of knockout, with 1 loss and 2 draws. He comes to the ring as the challenger tonight. Please welcome from Liverpool, Alex Moon. And his opponent, ladies and gentlemen, across the ring in the blue corner, wearing the green trunks and fighting out of Doncaster. He weighed in at 9 stone exactly and holds a 22-fight professional record. 18 wins, 5 wins by way of knockout, with 4 losses. And tonight he makes the first defence in this, his second reign as the Featherweight Champion of Great Britain. Please welcome John Joe Irwin. Your officials, ladies and gentlemen, appointed for this contest by the British Boxing Board of Control, the steward in charge, Mr. Tom Pedry, MP, steward of the British Boxing Board of Control, the timekeeper, Mr. James Russell of Glasgow, the referee, Mr. Mickey Van from Leeds.
So it's the British Featherweight Championship, which has a very proud and long tradition, being contested here.
12 3-minute rounds for the Featherweight Championship of Great Britain.
A title previously held by the likes of Ted Kid Lewis, Jim Driscoll, Howard Winston, Pat Cowdell, Paul Hodkinson, who was from Liverpool, as was a Liverpool legend, Nell Tarleton. Alex Moon, the challenger here from Liverpool, in the gold trunks. The champion, the first defence of his second reign as title holder, John Joe Irwin, a very competent operator indeed, and he says he's the dark horse as regards the World Championship scene. Well, he's got a lot to prove in that regard, but Irwin doesn't do very much wrong at this kind of level. He's from Doncaster, 29 years of age. Moon is a Liverpool taxi driver when he's not boxing. Due to go 12 rounds, and Irwin starts the favourite. Irwin in the green trunks, the champion.
Moon's coming off a very good year last year, and he'll just want to build on this, and this really would be a big win for Alex Moon. John Joe Irwin is a very difficult fighter. He's a good professional, and he's a tough guy to beat.
Irwin, who does a lot of his training at Doncaster's Plough Inn, which was where the 1940s heavyweight hero Bruce Woodcock used to work out. Trained and managed by John Rushton.
Well, Irwin will be looking to use his technical boxing ability, keep on the outside, use the jab, and just try and pick Moon apart as he comes forward. Moon will be using his fitness and persistence to try and swarm over Irwin. I think that's his best chance, but he's got to get to him pretty quick.
It's a big step up in class, this, for Alex Moon, who comes from John Hyland's stable in Liverpool. But he did have a win over 12 rounds for a lightly regarded Intercontinental title last time out against a South African last October. And he's on a good run at the moment, Moon. Good right hand from Irwin, who's busy all the time. He took the former world champion Colin McMillan to a pretty close decision, and he had to retire against Paul Ingle, who's soon to be fighting Prince Nassim Hamed after 8 rounds. Irwin, but he was doing quite well that night as well in a contest that started at, I don't know what it was, about 20 to 1 in the morning or something silly.
Yes, and I think they'd been warming up twice, I think, earlier on in the night when they thought the contest was going to happen. So that was really pretty bad circumstances. But if you want to re-establish himself and try and move up that level.
Moon's finding it hard to get into it in this opening round. Irwin, who's pretty underrated, just going about his business in his usual solid way. And that's Irwin's opening round, all right. Don't forget, the top of the bill tonight is what could be one of the great domestic clashes, maybe in history in the modern era. This is Robin Reid. He's the outsider, the former world champion. Been through a dodgy period, but seems mentally refreshed, and his preparations appear to have been spot on. He's bursting with confidence and is quite sure that he will shock the unbeaten Joe Calzaghe tonight. Calzaghe, there we are, he says inside 4 rounds, but he had trouble making the weight last night, and there have been 1 or 2 little whispers that maybe his preparations were interrupted by injury at some point. That's not confirmed or anything like that, but he is a very exciting fighter, Calzaghe. Maybe he's on the way to being a big worldwide star.
Round 2.
Second round here for the British featherweight crown. Green trunks of the champion John Joe Irwin, the yellow of Liverpool's Alex Moon, who's a fitness freak and fanatic. You wouldn't think he'd have any trouble at all doing the 12 rounds. He's done it once in his career already. He runs, they tell me, very, very fast half marathons.
Well, I think he's going to need all of that fitness, because Irwin is very good. He'll make Moon really work. And I think Moon's got to try and close the distance down much quicker and try and swarm into Irwin.
Could be that these are fairly similar types, and that Irwin, with all his extra experience, just does everything that little bit better than Moon. Could be, might be wrong. Moon's unbeaten in his last 12 since his only career defeat against Gigi Goddard, which was so early on in his career that it's more or less meaningless for the purposes of assessing him here.
Well, it's difficult to stand outside against a boxer like Irwin. He's not a big puncher, but does have good skills. Keeps on the move and keeps busy, so he's always picking up points.
Due to go 12 rounds, this, and some of the very best action in British rings in recent years have been in British Championship contests. There's a good right hand from John Joe Irwin.
He really hasn't started to warm up, Moon. He's been caught from long range, and Irwin's getting more confidence and starting to look to land some hooks.
Just looking a little one-paced and maybe a little stiff early on, Moon. Not really unwound, you feel, yet, maybe mentally. It's such a big fight for him.
Because I think there's always the difficulty that Moon becomes a little overawed. It's a big occasion on a very big bill, and this step up in class, mentally, can he cope with that?
It's good boxing from Irwin, just what you come to expect from him. He's rarely performs anything under this kind of level. Needs the money too. Would love to get more championship opportunities, maybe even at a higher level. He was married only 6 months ago. Got to keep the cash coming in. And he's won both rounds so far, I think, beyond dispute. And it's great to see such a big crowd in here tonight as well. Holds 11,000 the arena, but the tickets have gone very fast indeed. It's excellent to see the way the Newcastle public do get behind big sport.
There's that good right hand from Irwin. And also just got to watch the head. Irwin just fell in.
10 seconds.
So that could be a danger. Two Moon has been cut before.
Seconds out. Round 3.
Third round. So far, Alex Moon has failed to ask any serious questions of John Joe Irwin, and the danger for him is that the rounds slip away and he's left chasing the fight. Whatever his strategy was, it isn't working for him so far.
No, he's just not busy enough. He's got to start doing something. He's been beaten to the punch, and the jabs are an effective weapon from Irwin. So Moon needs to try something different.
Moon's got 14 wins out of 17 in his career. His best win probably over Kelton McKenzie. Stopping him in 3 rounds was a good effort. The Leicester fighter who can look after himself.
Just Kelton McKenzie, that was a decent performance. He normally gets through fights in good company, and that was impressive of Moon to stop him. He's going to start having to show that sort of form if he's going to make an impression here.
Too much in those jabs from Irwin, but they're all scoring punches. They don't seem to have much of a ramrod quality about them, but he's starting to mix it up a little more, looking for the odd hook and uppercut too. Moon not just getting close enough, needs to start exerting some pressure. He can be quite a good body puncher, but to do that he has to start working on the inside, get past Irwin's jab.
Well, he's starting to get closer in. He's cutting down the range with decent footwork, Moon, but he's not landing the punches. He's just content to tuck up and keep coming forward. He needs to start letting shots go.
Irwin just content to pile up the points behind that busy left jab of his, which has this insistent quality about it. So what can Alex Moon do about this? He's not usually a fast starter, and that's shown again here, but he can work well in clusters to the body, and he does have ability. Hasn't really been able to show it so far, but Irwin is a tough man to get the better of. He's very durable, competent, well organised, workmanlike, but he's a pretty light puncher, Irwin.
Yes, I think that's obviously the negative in the form of Irwin. He just hasn't got that really solid punch, and I think, being critical, but I think that's the thing that may keep him out of world class.
He's only ever scored 2 knockdowns in his career, in fact, John Joe Irwin. Former Undertaker, and I still think he does work as a joiner for Doncaster Council too. As you can see, he's dominating the battle of the jabs so far. Well, it's not a battle, it's a no contest up to now.
It is. I'm surprised Moon's got 14, because he's not really getting many punches out there. Not a lot in the punches of Irwin, but he's still, they're enough to score. So he's closing the distance down with his legs, but he's got to start letting punches go.
Irwin quite happy on the outside like that. That's his territory.
Corners 10 seconds.
Been a pro for 3.5 years so far, Alex Moon.
4.
Good following in Liverpool on those pretty atmospheric John Hyland bills. This is the 4th round. I've given all 3 so far to Irwin. How about you, Glenn?
Yes, I've got all 3 to Irwin. Just not enough work from Alex Moon. And this sort of fight just suits Irwin. He can just pick away like this all night.
nice combination punching too from Irwin, who was a Commonwealth Games gold medalist in the amateur ranks and was the England captain on 16 occasions, boxing from the Tom Hill Amateur Boxing Club in Doncaster. ABA champion too, boxed in the World Championships though, not in the Olympic Games. You can imagine his style being well suited to the amateurs.
Yes, you can. You can see how he was successful. It really is that sort of style. Very hard to beat over the 3-round distance.
That's better from Moon. Got in with a right cross there. But those successes need to become far less sporadic.
And again with the right hand, Moon getting closer, but single punches, needs to try and put these punches together in clusters. I think it's going to take a real pressure to get to Irwin.
All the time Moon is thinking, Irwin is throwing out that jab, and then he has to go back and replan the assault. He may have to take the gamble of taking a few on the way in. In fact, he will have to take that gamble. Won't he?
Yes, he will. He'll have to take a gamble. I mean, he hasn't, he's not up against really hard punches, so you would think, at some point, you can't just keep letting rounds slip away. He's just got to, really get in there and, show some devil.
It's a real chance for Moon to make a hero of himself. This is the moment, and he mustn't fritter it away. The chances don't come around too often. Nobody's going to be queuing up to give him another one once this one's gone. Has to seize the night. Just stepping it up a bit, Moon, starting to get there with a few body punches now. Just upping the tempo a little, and this is more of what he needs to do. Irwin having to work harder to keep him away now.
He's getting busy. He's starting to put a couple of jabs in there and just trying to start bustling Irwin up a little.
This quality there from Irwin, their body punch and then uppercut. Moon stepping in behind the jab though. That was better from him. This is his most encouraging work so far in the 4th round. There's still maybe a twist in the plot here. Irwin's taken everything early, but that was the best round yet for Moon. Whether he won it is debatable. Let's join Rob McCaffrey now, who's talking to former world title contender Kevin Lushing, who was due on this bill tonight but can't fight.
Always looks scruffy next to the look, don't we? He's dapper in his little outfit. How do you see it going so far?
Well, I can see basically John Joe Irwin being very comfortable in front. He's very comfortable going back on the back foot. I think Alex is a bit of inexperience beginning to show, basically.
He actually just came into it a bit more that round, didn't he? Just began to force the pace a little more.
Exactly. He's getting a bit more aggressive now. It's beginning to come the last end of the fight, and I expect John to take over soon.
Kev, Tom.
Thanks, Rob. Kevin Lushing was due to fight Harry Simon in a light middleweight world title fight tonight. That was due on this bill, and maybe we'll see it sometime later. It's a tough assignment. Simon, good fighters, but we wish Kevin all the best in that when it does finally come around, if it does. Here's round 5 of this one, British Featherweight Championship. The hors d'oeuvre before the 2 big World Super Middleweight Championship fights on this, pretty sumptuous night of boxing, which takes you right the way through to dawn. Gold trunks, remember, challenger Alex Moon. The green of John Joe Irwin, the champion from Doncaster. But Moon's body punches may be a developing feature here.
Well, he's definitely starting to warm up, and really he needed to do that. The last round he started to throw more, get closer to Irwin. I still don't think he did enough to get the round, but he was getting better. So there's some encouragement for Moon.
Can Moon exert enough heat and electricity here? It's an amateur box for the Kirby Amateur Boxing Club, which produced the great John Conte, also Paul Hodkinson, a world champion, Joey Singleton as well. And in the amateurs, he beat somebody as good as Michael Brodie, who's now a European champion as a pro, so the pedigree's there.
Yes, obviously, you know, he's had some decent form. No one just catching him with 2 good punches coming in. I think there's always the danger. He takes too many shots as he comes in. You know, he's got to try and really ruffle Irwin up, get him off balance.
Again, one body shot gets through, but he doesn't really sustain the pressure for long enough.
I think it is difficult with such a moving target as Irwin to pin him down, and you see he's good. He just got close there and then wrapped him up, got in a little tangle. Doesn't allow Moon to work.
What Moon wants is the fight in a phone booth.
Yes, but you know, that's what I mean. Irwin, even if it was very close, Irwin can still fiddle him out and grab hold and turn him. He's good with stuff like that. You know he's very experienced.
Just being outboxed really at the moment, Alex Moon. Even though Moon is trying to take the fight to him, and Irwin is on his toes and dancing, he's still throwing out more punches. Yeah, you might be right about that, Paul, but critical because Alex Moon has to start clocking up some rounds, Glenn.
Well, he does. I've got him 5 rounds gone and 5 rounds down. Now that's poor, and that's a lot to make up. You can see on the punches landed, 110 to 44. So such a market success rate. He really needs to do something. So they've got to work him in that corner, try and motivate him, try and get him to really go.
6th round, British Featherweight Championship. I mentioned the former title holders at the start of the fight. Of course, our own Barry McGuigan was the British champion at this weight as well before going on to great things at world level. Beat Vernon Penpraise, I seem to remember. Moon, who has to fit his boxing training around his work as a cab driver around Liverpool.
Reflexes working well for Irwin, just still picking Moon off. Just on the back foot, just doing enough, making him miss, being elusive, and then landing a counter blow.
Alex Moon is trying to discover what the combination is to the safe to get inside. He's been fiddling around with the lock for a while, but he hasn't got there yet, has he?
No, he hasn't. He just hasn't got it to try and move up a gear. It's very difficult with somebody. Look at how he's moving, Irwin. Very good boxing, making good use of the ring, and then coming back with good counters.
Moon almost chasing him around the ring at times now, trying to cut off those corners. That's what he needs to do, bustle him up against those ropes and start getting in those rib crunches. That would be the plan, but Irwin's having none of that. Tell you what, Moon runs half marathons. Irwin's going to cover a fair distance, isn't he?
He is,
the way this goes on.
In reverse as well. Maybe that's a tactic of Moon, just to keep the pressure on, really make Irwin work hard and then try and come on strong in the second part of the fight.
Irwin's having to work his legs pretty hard now, but if Moon could get there with body punches, he may just take Irwin's legs away, to use the jargon of the fight trade. That's good from Moon, that right hand.
Moon's still pushing out these punches, not a great deal in them, and Moon's picking a lot of them up on the gloves and catching a few more now.
He's definitely upped the tempo a little, Moon. And that round was closer, wasn't it?
It was closer, but still I think that a little more of the scoring punches are still going with Irwin. He's just busy with the counter punching.
Now this is the graph. The blue represents the number of punches being landed in each round by Irwin, the red by Moon, and as you can see, Irwin is ahead of Moon all the time now in every round. So that's just a little computer graphic to aid your insight into the fight. It just underlines what we're seeing, really, that Irwin is on top and must be ahead.
That's right. Just noticeable that Moon was starting to do more gradually as the rounds were going on. He was doing more each round, but he needs to do a lot more.
Second out. Round 7.
Of course, Mickey Van doesn't have any such graph available to him, the referee who's actually scoring the fight. Maybe we'll supply one day. But probably not. Here's the 7th round. Took us long enough to get to full point scoring in Britain.
Short left hook from Moon. The difficult thing is pinning him down to get a cluster of punches on. Tries to get one, but then Irwin is so quick to move away. He can't follow up with more.
But I still don't think this is a formality for Irwin. I think Moon is making him work harder now. The corner have been imploring Alex Moon to throw 4-punch combinations, to really start exerting some big pressure, not just single shots.
He's doing better at the start of this round. He's catching more of Irwin's punches. Maybe Irwin's just hitting the point where he's starting to feel it. This is where Moon has to try and really get in this fight, and that's going to take a steady flow of pressure.
Landing on the gloves a lot, really, Irwin here.
Yes, he has in this round. This has been better, I think, for Moon. He's caught a lot of Irwin's punches, and then a good jab went in there.
Tell you what Moon wants. He wants an American judge scoring this, because they'd like all this aggression from him and walking forward.
Yes, I think they'd still struggle with the punches thrown. But this is a better round. He's getting closer. He's catching more of the punches. Maybe just becoming a little harder for Irwin.
I think it is. A little right counter there from Irwin. But Moon is trying to step it up. Needs to find the punches, maybe to nail Irwin against those ropes and keep him there for a bit. Can't do it. Still dancing, still on his toes, John Joe, but I've noticed this about him in the past. If it comes to it, he's quite prepared to stand and trade for a bit too.
Yes, he can when it gets hard, but he really has been on the move all the time. I think he does respect the strength of Alex Moon.
Subtle changes in the plot now.
A much better round.
Yeah, I give
for
that
Alex Moon.
Backstage, meanwhile, and next on is Richie Woodall, defending his WBC super middleweight title. It's the first big world title fight of the night against the eccentric Italian Vincenzo Nardiello. Woodall coming off a controversial performance last time against Glenn Catley. Many thought he was lucky to win. So how does he see this one?
I'll see it, I'm going to win, that's all I know. Been a lot of mucking around before the fight and weigh-ins, whatever, so that's out the window now. Just keep the blinkers on and keep focused, and whatever Nardiello shows up tonight, then I'll be ready for.
I was going to say, you never know what Nardiello is going to show up, do you?
Well, that's right. You know, he could come out and give me a hard 12-rounder, or he could run from the start. You never know. I'm prepared for 12 hard rounds, so it's up to him.
Is it?
The no-nonsense Richie Woodall. Very, very confident. Nardiello an hour late for the weigh-in and could be in trouble over that as regards his purse money. More of that later. Meanwhile, back in the ring and live, the first title fight of this long and appetizing night of boxing, with John Joe Irwin under pressure in the green trunks from Alex Moon, trying to rip away his British featherweight title.
Well, the 7th was the first round that I scored for Moon, so is this the start of a big change? Will John Joe Irwin just start to run out of gas, and can Moon really get on top?
Irwin probably needs to win all the rounds. Not Irwin, Moon rather needs to win all the rounds now.
Yes, and even then I think he needs to win them big.
Countering left jab from John Joe Irwin, who's used to this kind of thing. Pattern is set and has been for a few rounds now. Moon on the prowl, trying to take the fight to Irwin, but not quite able to turn up the kind of intense pressure that he perhaps would need. Good right hand though from Moon.
Still having to cover an awful lot of ground, John Joe Irwin. He really has moved constantly throughout this.
Some real belief about Moon now. It's got better as it's gone on. The body punches should work for Moon. They may slow Irwin down, and when he's slowed down, he'll become a more static target. That's the theory anyway.
Irwin has completed the 12-round course 9 times, so he's used to it. I think being not a big puncher, you get used to this sort of work, and the stamina's always good.
It's better from Moon. Got there with the right hand. Irwin needs to get out of there, knows it. Same pattern again. Still not quite enough really from Alex Moon. British featherweight title on the line here. Let's hear from a former holder of this title, Barry McGuigan.
Corners 10 seconds.
Well, Barry thinks he can still do it. Do you think he can, or is he still now too far behind?
Well, I think it's getting very, very hard for Alex Moon. He's not really getting Irwin into the position where he's putting barrages of punches, where he's really trying to weigh him down. And I think Irwin can box at this sort of pace all night. You know, he's quite happy. Moon's not cutting the distance down quick enough or putting enough pressure on him. And I think Irwin will be quite happy at this point.
Wonder how Mickey Van has been scoring these last 3 or 4 rounds. And she's seen a lot of Moon walking forward and taking the fight to Irwin, and how many of those Irwin punches while he's on the run are hitting the gloves and arms? These are all key factors in the equation. Maybe an argument for saying in a tight round you should give it perhaps to the guy who's making the fight, but it should, I suppose, by another way of looking at it, be just scored on punches landed. Simple and
yeah, but I think some people will see it that way, but really it is punches landed. And to me, everyone's still doing more. Moon has picked it up. He's certainly warming up more, but needs to throw better combinations.
The scoring business can be very subjective. It's often in the eye of the beholder.
Well, especially in a fight like this, Ian, where it's often difficult to distinguish. Neither of them are very concussive punches. To distinguish how are these real good scoring shots? Are they just catching the gloves? How many are really landing?
Moon misses with the right hand. I think one thing's for certain, Irwin won definitely the first 3-4 rounds. Probably won 4 of the first 5. And then you could start arguing about some of these more recent ones.
Well, this is now, Irwin was close to Moon there. That's where he really needed to come up with a big barrage of punches. Certainly he's got to be more aggressive.
Does Moon quite have the power to really trouble Irwin? That's another question you have to ask.
Well, at this stage it doesn't look that way, but you never know what he's got left in the tank.
Irwin is very, very durable, usually as well. Irwin a bit more prepared to stand his ground. It's a bit messy around that. That's the Newcastle arena beside the Tyne River, which is only about 200 yards from here. They've got Neil Diamond on here next week and Robbie Williams coming up, and the boxing tickets have gone like hotcakes as well.
And just the elusive work of John Joe. Nice little right hand there. Just stopped Moon in his tracks, and then he quickly slides along the ropes. And he's very good at what he does. Nice left hook there. And then again, the elusiveness just makes Moon miss. And Moon just can't get a foothold in this fight. He needs a big round, Moon.
Second out, round 10.
10th round, John Joe Irwin, the champion in the green trunks, defending this British Featherweight Championship. It's his 6th British title fight tonight. He already has one of those very handsome Lonsdale belts to keep. Moon would love one, but he's got work to do. Just been a bit one-paced, hasn't he, Alex Moon, here as well?
Yes, it's been much of the same. It's pressure from Moon, but it's with the feet and the body. Irwin is quite capable of handling that and coming away with better counters. Now, it's in this sort of position now where Moon should be getting off with the punches, and he's not.
Moon definitely needs a spectacular last 3 rounds. You'd think so anyway. The impression so far is that he just has not done enough to take away John Joe Irwin's British featherweight crown. But there's time.
Well, on my card, he needs a stoppage now. Moon, he's got to get it by the short route. I can't see him doing it on points.
It's frustrating for Moon, this. He wants to really produce some fireworks here. He knows this is his night. But he's finding Irwin hard to work out. Irwin just won't let him do what he wants to be doing.
Now he's just effective at what he does, John Joe Irwin. His ambitions to be in world class, maybe just a little far away because of his style. When he moves up to that level, you know, the punch power does tell.
Nice little right hand from Moon there. He needs much more of that, though. Needs to start really firing off some punches in bunches. The time is getting short.
Moon has him in position there, but couldn't get the work he needed.
Coming up next, Richie Woodall defending against this man, the eccentric Vincenzo Nardiello, and you never know quite what you're going to get with him. He does have ability, but he does all kinds of odd and bizarre things. He was an hour late for the weigh-in. There were stories about him really struggling to make the weight. Some people wondered whether he really actually did when he got on the scales. Some people thought he was still a little bit over, but they seem to sort of wave it away and say, yeah, okay, that's all right then.
Well, it was the longest weigh-in I'd ever seen. He was on those scales for an eternity.
Stripped naked as well. On the scales, just waiting there for the electronics to work. It didn't register for about 5 minutes.
No, you never quite know what you're going to get with Vincenzo Nardiello.
But he can fight when the mood takes him. Here's the 11th round of this one, the British Featherweight Championship. First fight of this big night. And John Joe Irwin, at the moment, looking as if he's on his way to holding on to the crown. Unless, of course, Mickey Van is reading this a bit differently. Heads coming close together. You were both to blame, says Mickey Van. Mickey Van, who handled the Frank Bruno Lennox Lewis open air fight, some of it in the rain in Cardiff.
Although maybe both to blame for that clash of heads, but Moon certainly came off worse. Just a right hand there from Moon, and he's just starting to have more pressure on Irwin.
I should think the corner have said to him, you've got to really go out and make sure of these last 2 rounds to have even the faintest chance. Mickey Van is telling off Moon's corner for their coaching from the sidelines.
Well, you can imagine a bit of desperation coming into the camp of Moon. They obviously want their man to do more, to land with better scoring punches, but he's unable to do so.
That's a nice uppercut from Irwin. Not sure whether it actually got through. Again, he looks for that uppercut. It only hits the arms of Moon, though.
Moon is trying to do more work inside, work around the body. You see Irwin just trying to tie him up, stop him from doing any effective work in there. This is where Irwin is good and experienced.
Well, it really is the old classic clash of styles here. John Joe Irwin's Matador to Alex Moon's Bull. Couple of decent left hands from Moon.
Yes, this is better, just trying to push him off there and work away. And again, Irwin just dipping the head down. Got to be careful with that.
Well, it's good work from Moon. He kept the pressure going. Some of these later rounds harder to score. How have you got it with a round to go, Glenn?
With a round to go, I've got Moon 5 rounds behind. So for me, he's got to go all out and try and get the stoppage in the last round. He hasn't looked as if he carries the sort of punch that can really bother Irwin. But this is what, on my card, he's got to be looking for.
I've got it a bit closer than that. I've got 3 points in it. But I think there's no doubt about it. Irwin's out in front and Moon probably needs a knockout. You're saying argument over, bar knockout.
Yes.
Argument over a long time ago.
A long time ago, yeah.
10 seconds.
Because some people have suggested, I think Jim Watts suggested in the past, hasn't he, that people should know the scores as you go along. I'm not in favour of that myself. I think it would spoil some of the drama, but yes, there's a point of view.
Certainly is. I'm one for the drama. I think that's what it's about.
This is the last round then. Is Irwin on his way to a successful first defence of his second reign as champion? It's only the second time that Moon has been this far. As Glenn was telling you earlier, Irwin has had 9 12-rounders in his career. In fact, his last 12 fights have been scheduled for this distance. It's second nature to him.
Irwin again just closes the gap.
Good shots from Moon, but Irwin's prepared to stand there with him. Look at this, good right uppercut. Great action in the final round there.
Well, that was good work from Moon. He got up probably the best punches for him in the fight, but then look at how Irwin came back. 4 or 5 really good shots.
And Irwin showed that he was nowhere near running out of gas. A good left hook to the body there from Moon too, as the action hots up in this final session.
And this is better. Now he's starting to let the punches go to the body. This is what he should have done a lot earlier.
And now Irwin's standing close to him and letting him have the chance of doing that, of course. Looks like Irwin thinks it might be a little bit closer than possibly you've been seeing it, Glenn, because he's kind of really going for it in the last round. You'd think if in his head he was thinking I'm miles in front, he'd just dance and stay out of trouble. But
I think maybe he's tired and he probably thinks he has to meet fire with fire just to keep himself going.
Takes a little gulp of air, Irwin. Just refusing to let Moon dominate him. Moon likes this better though, this close quarter combat, getting in with the body shot and the left hook to the head as well. Moon would have liked a bit more of this earlier on, I think.
Well, Irwin's a bit too smart to stand around in the early rounds. He was trying to pick it from long range. This is suiting Moon now.
We'll soon know the answer here anyway. Last half minute coming up. Ooh, look at those uppercuts again from Irwin.
Well, a good last round. Maybe they do feel it's closer.
Best round of the contest. Good chopping right hand there from Irwin. Just seemed to stun Moon for a moment, and a left hook to the body as well. Best round was the last round of the contest, and John Joe Irwin has retained his British featherweight title. Alex Moon is distraught. He obviously felt he had the chance there of maybe winning it, maybe in his head. He thought he was somewhere close, but John Joe Irwin has retained the British featherweight title, and deservedly so in our view, and the computer statistics, there they are, would appear to back up Mickey Van's decision.
Yes, it's no good having constant pressure if you can't match it with the punches that matter, and that's what he couldn't do. Irwin it was a cautious fight for him and a sensible one. He knows what he's got to do to win, John Joe Owen, and he's very effective at what he does.
I had Irwin as a 3-point winner. What about you, Glenn?
I had it as a 4 point. I give Moon the last round and had Irwin coming out 4 points ahead.
I mean it.
And we can soon find out, I think, what exactly the margin was. But Irwin did that well again, really. But can he go on to world honours? It's a tall order, but we shall see.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing, the referee, Mr. Mickey Band, has scored the contest. Alex Moon, 114 points. John Joe Owen, 117 points. The winner, and still Featherweight champion of Great Britain, John Joe Owen.
So a 3-point margin in it. John Joe Irwin is still the British Featherweight champion.
The Lonsdale belt to the Featherweight champion of Great Britain, John Joe Owen.